Well, welcome to the Christian Whistleblower channel. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the artist known as the Christian Whistleblower, and this is the channel that I have. That's why we named it that catchy name. We're very glad to have each and every one of you here today. Don't know where you are, but we're glad that you're here. We've been doing a lot of heavy programming lately, some fun programming, but today I wanted to do a little bit of a switch and bring in a person that has been a longtime subscriber to this channel, a person that does some great work in and of her own self. And I like to be able to feature people that are subscribers to the channel, help them grow their channel, and kind of help pay forward what Rex did for me. Of course, I don't have anywhere near. Well, actually, Rex was about the size of my channel when I first went on. So we're trying to pay it forward, and we're trying to make you guys aware of great people and great services that you wouldn't be aware of without this. And today, Anmarie Uber is with us. Anne, say hi to everybody.
Hey, hi. Thanks for having me.
Now, do I say Anne-Marie or Anne?
Whatever you want.
What do you prefer?
Well, Anne-Marie, but that's just related to numerology, so.
Oh, really? Okay.
But
and numerology is one of those things you do. Let me tell people about you. Anne-Marie thrives on seeking uncompromised truth, and I like this, giving you a slightly different perspective than the usual New Age narrative. And Anne-Marie challenges you to make the break from the ceilings, from the patterns, from the cycles, and even from the karma that's been blocking you from taking back control of your future. Through her books and instruction, she intends to teach you to do just that, as well as learn to read your own possible futures and trust yourself. Anne-Marie says that she's here to help awaken others to their natural state of joy, creative ability. And it's not really about attracting, it's about creating. And I like what she says as a final note: question everything. Anne-Marie, I like the way you think.
It's ditto. Well, I didn't know you were going to read all that, but that's okay.
I could read the whole thing if you want. When you want me to start at the top and go all the way down, that's enough. Okay.
About me, but I mean, I guess you're interviewing me, but trying to send some love out there, and maybe my perspective will help some people. Who knows?
How long have you been doing what you do?
I started doing readings for people when I was 21. I'm 52, so
it's been a minute.
Yeah, but I got into everything when I was a child. So my poor mother, I mean, back in those days, you didn't have internet, phone. So I'd go to the Walden bookstore. I don't know if you.
I remember that. You were the only other one in there besides me.
Oh my God. And the shelf was like this big for New Age type stuff. So I had like UFOs and haunted houses. I think that was my selection. So I'm bringing home Whitley Strieber's book, Communion, and reading about abductions. And my mother, old school Catholic, is horrified. But
this is when you were in your 20s?
No, when I was young. And then in my teen years too, I was always reading something weird, insisting I was adopted. So
I wish I had been as smart as you, because I was in the Bible section, and that was the beginning of 20 years of, I used to think it was wasted, but it probably wasn't. But I'd have been much better off with Whitley Strieber than Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I think.
Well, yeah, but see, it's serving you now. So we all get sidetracked constantly, I think. It's just part of it. But anyway, so my poor feeble mother, she's elderly, but so she's got dementia, so she's unaware of anything I'm doing now, which is probably better for her. But
so it's kind of a blessing in disguise for her at this point. My father's in the same place, and he probably feels exactly the same way. So wow, it's terrible. But you gotta, people think if you don't have a parent in that situation, oh, how awful, how could they say that? But just have a parent in that situation for a while, and you can understand that. You start making light of it, and it's always a horrific thing, but you have to deal with it the way you have to deal with it. And sometimes humor can be a good way to do it. And I mean, it's like, my dad, he's got a kind of a weird thing. He remembers everything if it happened like 5 years ago or more, but his cognitive memory right now is like 2 or 3 minutes. So he'll tell you the same story over and over and over again, but he can talk about what I did when I was 14, no problem. So
Well,
it's
just wait,
interesting.
just wait, because that long-term memory is going to start going. Those stories are going to start changing, especially
Well,
when they
hopefully,
share them with other people, like things that you never did, and you're like, really? And
well, for me and Maria, it'll be better. So that the things that I did, if he can put them on somebody else, that's always good for me. Now you said, and I'm going to quote you, you said, can we talk about some Matrix shit?
I did not say the word shit. We're not
You
allowed to
did
fuck
say
on
that.
people.
You did say that.
I did.
So let's talk about some of that Matrix stuff. What's on your mind about the Matrix? You got notes and everything.
Well, I wrote notes, like I was telling you, because otherwise I don't remember what I get, and I have to really test it because growing up in a different time period than now, like now is the time for truth. So it's the age of truth, because you can get on YouTube, you can get on all these places, get untruth and truth, but you know what I mean? It's out there. So it's a time to awaken. So I think, like, I don't know if I have time to go to a barbecue or to go, I'm just constantly working because I feel like I have to catch up.
You know,
But
Anne-Marie, it's interesting you say that because I feel that same thing, that this really is a time for truth. And it's usually one of two thoughts. People think it's the worst time ever or it's the best time ever. And I think we really are in a great time for truth and revelation and understanding. So please talk about your Matrix stuff.
okay, so well, I strive for accuracy, because when you read for people, you have to be accurate, especially with mediumship. I can't say, you know, Uncle Joe's here and there's no Uncle Joe, but so you
Right.
have to be accurate. It's very hard for me sometimes to be accurate for myself, and I get a lot of interference. So it takes a ton of energy for me to get to the truth. So when I'm able to break through and get it, I write it down.
Excellent.
Because I think I've been getting mind wiped. I came out of a bad relationship, so somebody said, "Well, you have PTSD." One of the things of that is loss of memory, which I didn't know. But anyway, could be that.
PTSD. Yeah, you could have that from a relationship, I would wonder. And you could probably come up with some creative terms for the P if it was a male relationship. But anyway,
So it was like a vampire sucking me, but it was a past life thing and whatever. But anyway,
wow.
so I guess I kind of like some people stand at the edge of maybe like the Grand Canyon, and they say, wow, this is so pretty, and take pictures and everything's rainbows and unicorns. And I look at it and think, okay, I'm climbing down this sucker because I want to find out what's going on. So the Matrix movie, like, why is that so prevalent? Like, why do people jump on that? There's a lot of movies out there. Why do people jump on that particular one and think, hey, I think this is true or has truth in it?
It's kind of
So
ubiquitous in our movement, isn't it?
yeah, so it's kind of registering on some level, like some of that's going on. I don't want to say it's exactly what's going on, because I don't
And
think
by
it
the way, I'm
is.
glad you got the fluffy sweater memo. So
Are you wearing a fluffy
yeah, we
sweater?
both have our sweaters on, so we're good.
I'm trying to protect my throat. I'm having throat issues this morning, but
Did you ever see some of my older videos when I used to wear a scarf all the time?
you know what? I started watching you a few months ago,
Okay.
actually. It was another parallel reality that you remember me being on there a long time ago. So I haven't
Interesting.
watched a whole lot of your videos.
Well, I used to have some severe throat problems and I started wearing a scarf for a long time to
Oh,
help my
and
throat.
yeah, I don't know. Some people out there say you're getting attacked, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I always tell people ahead of time, you don't have to believe what I believe, and I would love input on what I've gotten. So I did make notes of what I got, and I try not to say anything as truth if I didn't like verify it. So I did get, and when I say get, like I'm getting it from my soul, or sometimes I'll talk to transcendentals, which are beings that are outside of the matrix. I did get that there is a real 3D world, the Earth Mother.
There is a
Um,
real 3D world.
yeah, some people
Okay.
like to say that there isn't. I do believe there is. Of course, we're using the word believe here because how do you ever know? You know what I mean?
So you're right now, your thoughts would be it's not just a simulation. There is actually a real physical 3D world.
There is a physical world, and I feel like there is a matrix over it, like an overlay, a simulation. And I'll just say I was told, because I don't want to go through my whole process, but I'll just say for simplicity that it's not a dream like a lot of people like to think we're dreaming. It's actually a hypnosis. For some reason, there's an importance in that word. It's a hypnosis, not a dream. The overlay is energetic. It's not a hologram. It's not holographic, and it's not like fourth dimensional energy overshadowing. They were specific. It's energetic. So
this is incredible. This is very, very interesting. So let me just try to wrap my mind around it. It is not a dream. So we're not living in a dream. And it is an overlay, but it's not a holographic overlay. It's more of energy. Now, is it energy that is manifesting to our eyes, or is it more of just an invisible energetic presence?
Well, let me keep going with like putting these pieces together, and then maybe you can answer that, because I don't want to answer if again, I haven't tested something. And
so I'll hush and just let you go and see and put your stuff out. I
can answer what I think, but then that doesn't necessarily mean that it's accurate.
Okay.
Because I can come up with all kinds of ideas. But so this part may upset some people. I got that the chakras are the plugins to this thing. So it's almost like a video game. I'm not saying it is a video game, but that's the closest thing I can liken it to. So the chakras are the plugins. So they're kind of like the joystick, maybe, if you were looking at it that way.
Or at least the place you plug in the joystick.
Yeah, it's how they plug us into the matrix. So people get upset with me. Well, chakras have been around for thousands of years, blah, blah, blah. Well, we don't know how long this control system's been around. I mean, I suppose I could ask that too, but there's so many questions I could ask.
Well, I don't know how long you've been listening, but I took some heat not too long ago for saying that the chakras are not organic and that they are added by whoever it is that made these bodies. And it's a good chance that they're at least originally not for our good. Whether we can turn that around and make them for our good is debatable, but they're not organic. They're not part of divine creation, in my opinion.
Well, remind me, I'll tell you a story about a meditation I did where I screwed around with that. So, but anyway, not to say that you can't like balance your chakras, or if somebody asked me to do that type of work on them, I mean, I'll do it. I'm not going to not do it, but I didn't find it any lasting. I'm holding my salt here, sorry. Trying to stay grounded.
Hey, that every little bit helps.
It's a rough morning. So I'll keep going here. So this is kind of like piecing things together. I'm not out there in other ways that people are piecing, or like David Icke says, connecting the dots. I'm having to do over the years from being in these other dimensions, doing work or doing mediumship or doing readings. And it's like all these pieces have to come together. So, so what you were just saying, so the chakras, when the game or the matrix was set up, the chakras were put on at the same time. I don't know what happened prior to that, but and then I also got that ascension is happening, and it's with the physical body. So I'll get to the physical body in a minute, because we talked about that. Not the light body, because your light body, I mean, light body doesn't need to ascend. It's already there. But that ascension's happening within the game, for lack of a better comparison. So maybe it's like an upgrade or another level. Sorry. That might not be popular, but
so ascension may not take us where we think it's going to take us. There could be, and this makes sense, if there's a real ascension where we can get out of this game, out of this matrix, then it would make sense that there might be a parallel false ascension, which is just going into another level of the game.
Yeah, that's what I think. So human body, that's 3D, is not part of the matrix. And this is why they talk about junk DNA. Is it like 99%? See, I have no brain anymore. That's where you come in, because you have retention for everything. Is it the 99% of the junk DNA we're not using?
The terms get bandied about. It's somewhere in the 90s.
So that's still with the physical 3D body. And Simon Parks has talked about that, where you've been separated from your DNA. And I think he said it. I don't want to misquote him. I better shut up. So
interesting.
So the Matrix, what do I have written here? Okay. So this is something that I was told, like by listening to other YouTubers or wherever I heard this, that they're creating the Matrix through us. So they're hijacking our creative ability and creating it through us. I was told that's not the truth. I love that. It was already in place. So we're actually not creating into that. We're actually just there making choices. So
interesting.
Like, again, comparing it to a game. Do I turn right or do I turn left? Do I shoot this guy or do I not shoot him? So if you think about your life, it's just constant choice, 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 choice. So I'm sitting here choosing to sit down, choosing to take a drink of water. So so it was already there. And that all we have is choice. So we can make choices in the game. And that's kind of where people talk about scripts, being on life scripts and things. And then when you wake up to what's going on, you have a choice to leave or to stay. So this is that time period where you can get that information of what's really going on and actually wake up. So that's why I feel like it's crucial for people to, it's not that you can't enjoy your life, but you do have to be spending some time on, anyway, I'll keep going. Okay, so.
Interesting stuff.
So talking about mediumship, which I'll do in a little bit because you're interested in that, we have like the sideways figure 8. So that's that Lemma said. It's also the number 8, which is connected to the planet Saturn. It's also connected to that whole reincarnation cycle where you die and whoop, get thrown back in and you keep going and going. So it didn't make sense to me, like, who am I talking to then when I talk to somebody on the other side, if they're just getting whipped back in? And sometimes I would get that, hey, they're already reincarnated back in, but I could still talk to them. So I had to figure that out. Like, everything had to make sense. And I don't know if that's like getting put back in the game. Like, I hate to keep comparing it to that. I mean, this isn't going to be all depressing, but maybe you lose your life. You know, you get, I don't know, I don't play video games, but you get 5 lives. So maybe you come in and repeat that same life. But and you have people like James Van Praagh, where he writes these books on the other side, and we're all these little soul lights, and we're getting trained and educated and moving up levels on the other side before we come back in, and these angels are over there training us. And I'm like, well, who are these angels? Like, who are they? And none of this made sense to me. It's like my whole life has been sifting through theosophy. I read Isis Unveiled, oh my God, by Blavatsky. That's like a head exploding thing. Steiner, Buddhism, like everything. And it's like, nope, nope, nope. I just kept digging, because it has to make sense. So what I also got was, and this is better news, and I kind of mentioned it. So if an individual wakes up, they do get that choice to leave or to stay. So I don't think you have to, like Course in Miracles and Gary Renard teach, that you have to forgive. You have to get all your forgiveness work done. You have to do everything. Otherwise you can't get I don't think that's true. I think
So Anmarie, if we're woke, can we leave right then, or do we have to finish out some lifespan, or what?
That's a good question. I think
so. You're woke, right? You're awake. You would say you woke up, right?
Yeah. If I'm not awake, somebody kill me now.
So have you decided to leave? And if you haven't, why not? And if you have, why are you still sitting here talking to me?
I think that all of us came in to wake everybody else up, because gotcha. If everybody wakes up, the matrix collapses. So you can't really leave anybody behind.
I like that.
And I was interviewing a friend of mine. When was that? Sunday. And I said, well, people have to realize like now's the time. And she said, well, maybe they're not meant to wake up in this lifetime. And I said, good, let's wake them up.
Do we have to die to leave? Die to this physical body to leave?
I think so, because if you leave, the matrix is still in place. So you can't really go back to your 3D body unless everybody wakes up and we get rid of this thing. Yeah. So that could be the true ascension, maybe when everybody wakes up. So I've got more questions I've got to ask, but
that's interesting.
Let's see what else I got on this. So when you wake up, you don't go to your physical 3D body because the matrix is still in place. So you go, I mean, you're this light body, and we can talk about that too. If everyone wakes up, it collapses, you go, and then you would go back to your 3D body. So I don't know if that would be like that Eden paradise.
So did you say if everybody wakes up, we will go back to our 3D bodies?
Yes, if you get rid of the and I'm saying these things like fact, but I'd love for people to argue with me. So
I mean, you're giving what you feel you've given, and that's what we're here to hear.
And then I don't know what that world looks like. Is it an Eden? Has it been destroyed? Because I got that in the meantime. So if you think of it in terms of like, what are those things called? Like the virtual reality things you put on, you play a game and you think you're skiing down a mountain and your body's like sitting in your bedroom. So it's the same thing where we're hypnotized to think we're in this world and we're somewhere else. I read a book and it was fiction, and she was talking about they put something on your ear and then it created this virtual reality around you. And this guy thought he was at the town square, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'm really here. And like things were actually happening and he was experiencing it. And he said, why is this bush here? I don't remember this bush being here. And the girl that was creating this said, well, it's hiding your dresser, in your bedroom. You're really still
wow.
So it's a hypnosis to think you are where you are. So we're all hypnotized. Like right now, I feel like I'm supposed to bark like a dog, but I'm just kidding. People do that on stage where.
Wow. I see a hypnosis thing. I got you.
Like programmed all the time, these programs running. But when you wake up, you have to recognize, okay, what of these thoughts is the program and what are my own thoughts? But okay, so I'll keep going. I have a few more bullets here that I definitely, what?
I said, please.
I'm talking way too much. I'm sorry. It's all about
what you're here for.
So, okay. So in the meantime, while we've been trapped in this simulation thing or hypnotized, they've been harvesting our DNA and making hybrids and who knows what else. So because human DNA is the most valuable commodity in the galaxy, I know Sasha Stone. Do you know who Sasha Stone is?
I've heard the name, but I don't know who it is.
Oh my God, you've got to get him on here. His command of the English language is unbelievable. But anyway, he's unbelievable. But he was talking about our DNA can morph itself. So he did the 5G extinction event documentary, but he said we can actually morph ourselves to adapt, but I don't know how many of us have to die first or whatever. But anyway, so abductions happening while we're asleep. So I think we're asleep and we're kind of tuning into our 3D body that's getting whatever done to it. So I didn't get into too much like what that looks like outside of this. And then our replicated body that's in the matrix can look different from our actual 3D body. I thought that was interesting.
It can look like you could have brown hair, or you could just look like a completely different person.
Yeah, like instead of an old hag, I could look like really hot in 3D.
I see. So I could look like Tom Cruise in that other place.
Exactly.
So it keeps hope alive. Only a taller Tom Cruise.
Well, you got to keep going. Then you have to get everybody to wake up so you can go back to that body.
Oh, that's right.
There's nothing wrong with how you look.
So I could really, in reality, I might look like Tom Cruise. And if the rest of you guys would get ascended, then I could go back to being Tom Cruise, a tall Tom Cruise. Okay, I got it.
My friend Kathy, she's a Gemini. She's on here. She thinks you're hot. So there you go.
Awesome. Well, like Fact Finder said, my Matrix body has an 8-pack. That's for show. Cynthia says I could do better than Tom Cruise. Sorry, go ahead. I'm getting silly. Go ahead, please. You have more bullet points?
Just one more. So the junk DNA, I was told we're gaining more access to it, and it has all kinds of abilities. You know, we're kind of unlimited in our abilities. So we're gaining more access to it as we wake up, and that the actual 3D body is assisting, helping us wake up. So, I mean, I sound like a nut job, but I'm 52. When you get to this age, you really don't care. I kind of know what I know based on too many experiences. So whatever. But
I think I might have just got insulted.
Why?
Electric Crystal says maybe the real Tom Cruise is short and fat. Well, I'm not that short, Electric Crystal. Now, you said that you keep saying, and people keep asking, you keep saying, I'm told, I found, I was given. Can you give us just a little bit about how you get your information?
So that's, well, some of it's through experience, some of it's piecing things together. But if I definitely want an answer, like that's what these bullet points are, like I've got to really go way beyond and talk to a transcendental, because I get all kinds of interference. There's all kinds of people out there that want to talk to you. So please don't do Ouija boards or do channeling. I mean, unless you are very specific, because obviously they don't want you to have this information. And then I also talk to my soul or my oversoul, for lack of a better term.
Is that like what we would call a higher self?
I guess. I don't even like that term, but yeah. So let me see what if I forgot
That's
something.
where you get yours from typically. Okay.
So I did a meditation that just popped back in my head. I did a meditation where, and these poor people, I had them come into my house because they kept pushing me to do meditation, and I do so many things, I don't really have time. But so I was like, okay, I'll do meditation classes. So they think they're coming to de-stress, and they're not into any of this stuff. They've read about meditation, it's good for you. So I have these poor people like, oh, we're gonna have some fun today. So we went in and I had them just remove their chakra jacket. Just take it off and hang it on a hook. And we're going to look at what's underneath that chakra jacket. Well, they had like these unbelievable experiences of just this light that was so bright they couldn't describe it, and this bliss.
Ooh, interesting.
So then I, of course, had them looking for alien implants and all kinds of other things.
You know what just came to my mind when you said that? The biblical description of the coat of many colors. You know, chakras are many colors, and maybe it really is a coat that you put on to tone down your true spirituality.
Plug you into the matrix.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting. Yep, you're gonna have to educate us on that.
I like that one.
So anyway, they had like these amazing experiences with that meditation, and just like a bliss and a high afterward. And I was like, okay, remove your implants. So then at the end, of course, we put our little jackets back on. But one of the girls that was in, I think this was like 2016 maybe, but one of the girls that was in the meditation, she was always had a guide that, you know, that's what she called it. They would always say stuff, and it was always really negative and icky. So it was obviously some kind of interference. And it told her through that whole thing, no, don't take that off, you'll die. Don't take that off, you'll die. So I was like, oh, okay. So we're onto something here. But
or could this body, which you could say is of many colors, could it be the coat that limits who you really are?
Well, this body is like a replicate of your real body, not a replica, but a replicate or some kind of.
Or replicant. Okay, I gotcha.
I don't know.
That's fascinating stuff. That's fascinating stuff. We should get you and Terry together on a show.
Oh my God, who's Terry?
Terry, and I always say his name wrong. Am I right, Tracy? It's Terry Sayers, or is it Tony? I think it's Terry. I just had him on, and he talks about removing implants and all of that stuff. He's really smart guy, sharp guy. I believe he's a Brit. He's living in Mexico,
Love it.
and he does a lot of the same stuff. Tony is his name. Tony Sayers. Tracy put that in capital letters. Tony Sayers. I like him. He's a good guy, and he's been on twice. And yeah, we'll get a show with all three of us on. That would be interesting.
Is that Tracy Dyer?
That is Tracy Dyer.
I love her.
Well,
anyway,
no one's perfect, Anmarie. So do you have anything else to finish up on the Matrix?
No, but I can talk to you about some of the stuff they're doing, watching us here, like in the Matrix, but.
Okay, so I definitely want to get to mediumship, but please go ahead and talk to us about they're watching us in the Matrix. Like, because I do stand up. I got some creepy stuff about angels always watching us. So there's the same thing there. Talk about that, please. That sounds very interesting.
Well, so I was trying to think when this was. It was a little while ago, and I was living with that guy at the time, and he had I was trying to help him spiritually. He had a lot of attachments and things going on anyway. So
the vampire guy.
What?
The vampire guy.
And he's a good person. He's trying to wake up. He is awake. He's just constantly, because of stuff he's done in past lives. I think I abandoned him. He was going down a dark path. So in this life, I didn't realize this till recently. I was trying to save him. I was determined not to abandon him.
Is he awake mainly at night?
A lot of it happens at night.
Vampire joke, sorry.
Constantly, I mean, I had something, I constantly have stuff coming at me, but anyway, whatever. So I don't know what night it was, just some random night, and I'm laying there, and I had this I call them watchers. It's a freaking watcher there, and they come through these portals, and it's like they have this little cubicle or room where they just sit there and watch, like we're entertainment, which annoys me. So I'm like, get over here.
Or at least an experiment, right?
Yeah. So I'm just like, get up.
Well, depending on what we're doing, it sometimes could be more entertaining than others, probably.
Oh my God, if they're not going to come and help us, get out of here. You don't have to watch. So, or at least not my life. So, but I can't.
What would you say that have you seen any of the shows with Gosha that I've done?
No, I'll have to look
the Pleiadians are out there watching us. Would you say the same thing to the Pleiadians? If you're not going to help, then just get the hell out of here?
Well, they might be helping in a different way, but they have to, maybe it's up to us to wake up, because I didn't get into too much why we're in this matrix.
Gotcha.
So maybe there's a reason.
Do you know what they look like? Infinite Life is acting. Do they look like black smoke figures?
Black smoke figures are a thing. Those are jinn, like demonic stuff. These things just look like, they look different. I don't know if they're aliens or they're what coming here to, let's watch the show.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I had this draconian standing there, and apparently that's, from what other people say, I don't really know, that's not a common thing.
You got to tell us what he looked like.
Well, they're tall, white, like they're reptilian, but there's a whole hierarchy, which I'm not allowed to talk about for some reason that I got. So we're going to skip and pretend I didn't say that. Anyway, supposedly unless you're real important, and not that I'm important, it's more like what you're doing here.
Yeah. That
they're trying to stop. So this thing's sitting there, and I was going to just get rid of it, close the portal. And I thought, no, I'm just going to talk to it. Let's see what it has to say.
Interesting.
And when you talk to some things, it's some really nasty energy. So anyway, this thing told me that I don't belong here. And I really didn't know what it meant when it said that at the time. And that I am trying to take too many people with me. They don't like, because I go in and I do a lot of work on timelines, because I think that's the key to changing a lot of things, because they're constantly screwing the timelines.
We'll have to talk about that sometime.
But I don't do that a whole lot, because I got completely drained from this last relationship where I almost physically died. That's a whole nother story. But so I'm trying to recover right now from that. So it takes a lot of energy to go and do that. And then I'm going in 50 directions. But so anyway, it was telling me that I don't belong here. And so I just, like, for entertainment's sake, I said, okay, so what if I stop interfering and doing what I'm doing? And it said, you won't, you're programmed to fight. And then, so to me, that kind of gave it away, like, programmed is, this is some kind of game or some kind of, I mean, why else would you be programmed? So, and that I'm going to take too many out with me. And I kind of took it as, you don't belong here in the game. Because, like, again, Simon Parks, I had a reading with him. He told me I came from 12th dimension and I had to stop at the 6th and 5th dimension to prepare myself for what I was going to deal with here. But I, like, willingly came in to try to wake people up. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm stupid. I don't know what
Wow.
I get myself into. But I mean, there's other people like that. And I'm sure you and many of the people listening have come here to help. I mean, why else would we be waking up first? So, so then after that little conversation, I decided to tune in and try to get some information. And I was told that I was a targeted individual before birth. They knew I was coming in. So now there's some people that are targeted individuals and they claim literally like they're getting followed. I could be, who knows? I don't look in my rearview mirror, but they're actually being followed. But those are usually people that are involved with secret government stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm getting targeted more on the spiritual planes. And one of the ways they take me down is money, because, like, I'm with you. I could die right now and be fine. I don't have any fear of death. But money, like lack of money, I'm afraid of, because I have to live through.
Yep.
I got to live under the bridge in the gold. But so money, and then they send in men to take me down. I was warned about that back when I was 23. And I was given an opportunity to leave if I didn't want to go through this whole 25 years of hell. So that's kind of answering an earlier question you had, like, do we get to choose to get out of here? I think we have doorways, but and then I was told that I was made invisible so that people could not see me in business. And
I remember you said that to me once when we were corresponding, and I wanted to make sure I asked you about that.
Yeah. So for me getting on here today, that's kind of like a major thing for me, because I think I'm breaking through that. Now that I have these men out of the picture, I mean, it was literally like, so, so anyway, we can get into, oh, I can also talk about, like, working within the matrix to make it a little more pleasant while you're here, while you're waiting for, trying to help people wake up. We could talk about that and mediumship, but
Yeah, do that. Let's move into what we can do positively within the matrix to help affect our position or maybe the whole matrix.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be like this depressing.
First of all, tell us your website and your YouTube channel so everybody can go subscribe and partake of your wisdom.
Yeah, the YouTube I haven't done much with. I mean, I've put stuff up there for Patreon, but again, just Anmarie Uber, ANMARIEUBER.com.
So one N in Anmarie.
Yep.
And Uber is an EBER.
UBER.
UBER. Okay. But on your website, it's EB, isn't it?
On the Facebook, because they wouldn't let me use my page name, but
Gotcha. So again, I'm sorry I messed that up. Tell people what the website is again.
ANMARIEUBER.com.
Okay.
And I literally just, I mean, I'm just throwing things up, like the website, everything's thrown up because I'm doing too many things. But
Gracie Dyer also cloaks herself, and it works, and it does work, but it doesn't. And let me editorialize for a minute. You can make yourself invisible. That doesn't mean that you can't be seen. That just means that people can't see you. So if you ever do make yourself invisible, before you drive your car on the highway, make sure that you uninvisible yourself, or you could literally get into some trouble. It doesn't make you where you can't be seen. It just makes people not able to see you. That's how my invisibility works. How about yours, Anmarie?
Yeah, I agree. I did a lot of fasting in my 20s, and I would get to these vibrational levels that were so high. I lived in New York City at the time, and course, you know how the sidewalks there are. It's just like people coming at you. And they would get right up to me and jump like they didn't see me. So I think my cat is here
Yeah,
scratching.
I saw the cat. He or she was a little bit upset at that empty bowl over there, but
Can you see the bowls? My
yeah,
kitchen's I'm in my kitchen because
the bowl's empty. The cat wasn't happy that it was empty, but anyway, you can
I'm trying
correct
to
that
be far
later.
away from the 5G as I can. So I'm in the kitchen.
Gotcha.
God, I don't even know what I was saying. What the
So
heck was
Martha also does invisibility, but you're talking about how to interact within the matrix.
Well, that's one of the things is detachment. Detaching from all the temptations here doesn't mean that you don't go have fun or enjoy things, but
Mhm.
like when I fasted, it made me no longer enthralled with food. It doesn't mean that I don't eat or whatever, but it's no longer like this consuming thing, because this whole simulation is consuming. So we're constantly consuming. We're
Ooh,
consuming
that's
air.
good.
So like if you're eating a plant or an animal, I mean, we're all just here consuming each other. So when you stop consuming some of that, it starts to connect you into that 3D body a little more. So it helps. So detaching or fasting is one way.
Very powerful. I concur.
And then there's another thing that really, I think works really well is getting into the flow. And there's something about emotions and reactions that keep this game going, for lack of again, a better term. So when you're in the moment, if you can stay present and then something happens that's seemingly bad and you don't react, you're constantly creating that thought of, no, this is working for me. It's not working against me. Everything is working
Ooh.
for me. So you start to change things and you can almost like walk around all the little obstacles in the matrix that make you miserable. So if like, let's say somebody cuts you off in traffic, you don't react, and then you just think, okay, somehow this is benefiting me, it
Hmm.
will transform before your eyes. I guarantee you, if you keep yourself in that space. So, and that's hard to do because,
That's powerful.
we're constantly bombarded, but it does work. And I also teach the Chaldean numerology, which is dealing with the written word. So this is part of the code that's in this matrix because it's spelling, words.
Mhm.
So rearranging maybe your name, if it's not in harmony with your birth number, can help some. It's not going to like do everything, but because you have to do the work of detaching.
So how would you rearrange your name? Give me an example.
Each letter has a number vibration, kind of similar to Pythagorean numerology, which is like the real over here in the West, like the real popular that you
Mhm.
see in the
So
book.
if I'm Jeffrey Allen Daugherty, I might change the way Jeffrey was spelled, make it with a G or put the ERY instead of a REY just to get
If you
the
had,
numerology better.
yeah, because they're all
Interesting.
connected to the planets in Vedic astrology. So each number. So if they're at like odds with each other, like Mars and Saturn, you don't want that vibration going on. So it actually creates karma. I kind of think of it as like your character, like the makeup of your character in the game or your script or whatever. And I
What's
wish I
older, do
had,
you think, Anmarie, Chaldean or Vedic?
um, well, Chaldean is kind of connected to that. I think maybe, I mean, we don't know our history. It's like
That's
constant
true. Good
life
point.
thinking. But Chaldeans came to like ancient Babylonia, so they're teaching Abraham and all that kind of thing. They weren't Babylonians, but they supposedly created the 52 days.
Mm,
God, what am I saying? 52 weeks of the year.
yeah, I know what you meant.
So, and they've mapped out all the stars in the sky. They've done all these things. So I wish I would have studied Vedic astrology. Instead, I spent like 30 years studying Western, which is
Yeah.
fine because like I wrote some books on the Chaldean numerology, and it's really popular in India because that's like
Oh, nice. Just
numerology.
so you know, Anmarie, I'm being told in the chat room that flying to Mars takes about 20 minutes. And if you go to Nibiru, then you go onto a bigger spaceship. Just wanted you to know.
Thank you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in my house and
Me too.
lying down. So
But you'll do Chaldean readings for people, Chaldean astrology readings.
I do, mostly for people that have read the book and they're like, can you just please do the numbers and make sure I'm doing it right? But
Also, you have a book that will teach you how to do it on your own.
yeah.
What's the book called?
5 Numbers of Destiny.
And it's on your website?
I don't know. Yeah, it's on there.
I like it. I'm gonna have to buy that book.
So that will help you. But I was talking to a guy in India and about, because he taught Vedic astrology, and he said, yes, all these Westerners are learning it. Some people are combining it with the Western, and that's okay. He said, but you actually need a guru to take you under their wing and teach you all the secret stuff. They're not going to tell you, a Westerner just studying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they have all these things, and I don't know where they keep it, but it's like they have predictions for every single person, no matter what day you're born. All this stuff mapped out ahead of time. But I kind of like Western astrology because it's going to show you multiple scripts. Just like when you have those choices, it's not all just one thing.
Interesting.
So I had something else just popped in my head, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I kind of feel like animals might be in the same boat we are here. So
How so?
Like being trapped in this thing.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
So I'm not sure about that. I don't like to say anything that I haven't totally whatever, you know.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about mediumship. Are you like a classic spiritualism medium, spiritualist medium?
What does that mean?
Well, spiritualism is, kind of, they had the divide between Blavatsky, who believed in reincarnation, and the spiritualism people who didn't believe in reincarnation. And the spiritualism ones are the ones that are famous for the seances and bringing in Uncle Bill and Aunt, whoever, and seeing like the plasma and stuff like that.
Well, I think I'd be somewhere in the middle, maybe, because I think I always question everything. So who am I talking to? Am I talking to some demon impersonating somebody? But I don't want to, people that get comfort from that, I don't want to tell them that. And I don't really think that I am, because it takes a huge amount of energy for me to talk to somebody. But I think some people possibly do that. But it's one of those things where, like, I could ask you, what do you think's going on? Like, so if we're getting constantly thrown back in here, how are we talking to these people on the other side?
That's a conundrum. If you're talking to someone like, who were we? I think I was talking to Jenny Moonstone, and we were talking about the fact that she thinks that General Patton is one of her guides, and yet she also believes that General Patton is being reincarnated as President Trump. So if General Patton's been reincarnated as President Trump, how could he also be guiding her in the spirit realm?
I had read on that at one time. I think I got that is partially, so I'm not sure what that means. He's not exactly that whole soul, but there's some connection.
Right. There's a lot of things, Anmarie, that we just don't understand totally. And we understand at best bits and pieces. And I love people in this genre. We're as bad as Christians. We think that, we get it all, and this is the way it is, and there's no other way that it could be. And anybody that doesn't agree with me 100% is wrong. And it's just silly when you sit back and think about it.
Yeah, we all have pieces to the puzzle, and
we do
put it together. Yeah. And I think it's the most important thing is, politics is entertaining. Well, maybe. All these topics are entertaining, but ultimately for me, my thing is, why am I here? And like, where am I going after here? Because I could only be here for 2 days. I don't know. So where am I going after here? And I better figure that out. And while I'm here, what am I supposed to be doing? Or what did I come here to do? It used to be like the Christian thing. Well, what does God want me here to do? But now it's why did I come here?
Have you figured that out yet?
Well, I'm here to wake people up. And one of the things I could do is keep working on these timelines, but I don't know. I think that's the only reason I'm here, is to wake people up, and try to collapse this whole thing.
Do you offer any services that help people find out why they're here?
I do. And I can look at your soul family and that type of thing. But I kind of try to fit everything into a matrix format now, because it's like it's got to all fit together somehow and make sense. All the different things you do. Like I was getting possessions, for lack of a better term, when somebody's possessed. I was told that means that they're getting some kind of energy weapon or control device, something aimed at them, and it was coming from somewhere else and possessing their mind, like controlling their mind or owning it, make them act crazy. And then but like a takeover, which we would think of as possession, would be somebody that willingly has sold their soul to the devil.
Yeah, so to speak. Interesting.
Yeah, or somebody that's very weak and allows this, or something like that. So, but it kind of all has to fit together and make sense.
So you said animals are kind of in this with us. Do you think that animals are also reincarnating?
Yeah.
It's funny because Robert USN vet, third generation, is telling Cynthia, his sister, that Merlin, one of her dogs, has to reincarnate again because he didn't get it. He's a sweet dog, wonderful dog, but he's dumb as a stump. But the other dog, Barkley, is ready for the 3D trip because she is like super duper smart, this dog. So even dogs are, have their enlightenment paths. And Merlin's on the short bus and Barkley is in the fast lane.
Well, I think definitely. And I do animal communication too. And you get enough verifications when you do things
And I
like
feel
that.
bad because Merlin does love me. But
Oh, that's all right. I have to have a smart dog. Otherwise, like I've had a German Shepherd, and that dog was smart.
Barkley is a German Shepherd, and she is almost scary smart sometimes.
Yes. Um, but I
Golden
always,
doodles,
oh my
not so
God,
much.
no.
They're bred to be
I
cute,
love
not to
them
be
because yeah, I
smart.
love animals, but yeah, I couldn't do it. Um, no
Sorry
offense.
about that. Sorry for to get you off track. But so mediumship, do you do classic, let's have a seance, let's hold hands and knock
No.
twice if you're here with us?
Well, no, God, no. Because you can get anything in there. Why are they lifting the table? I don't need to lift the table. That's stupid. So, well, you got to question what's in there doing it. I've
That's
been
good.
in
I like
mediumship
that.
circles where the person leading it told everybody to invite something in, and the stuff that was being invited in, I spent the whole time like, okay, get out, out, and trying to control the space. I've done groups where I'm leading and then I read for the group. And it's really hard because you always get something crazy. The last one I did, I got something about this guy was dressed all in lime green. And I'm like, I'm not saying this. I'm not saying you're dressed in lime. Like, this is ridiculous. So I said, okay, did somebody die around like St. Patrick's Day? Like I didn't, and nobody's saying anything. I said, okay, this dude is here in a lime green suit, and it's over here. Who over here? And this girl said, oh, that's my uncle. He always wore a lime green suit every day. I was like,
That is
who
so
wears a
weird.
lime green?
If we ever, and I've been thinking and tossing this around, if we ever do another like meeting, get together, seminar, 2, 3 day thing, you've got to come and do some of your stuff.
Oh my God. Well, it's not really the main thing I do, but people always ask for it. So, but you do get detailed things that are kind of hard to deny. Some of them are like things you're not thinking about at the time. So I
Right.
can't possibly be pulling it out of your head. But and you realize it later. And it's happened to me getting mediumship readings. But I think a good way to know if somebody's genuinely talking to your loved one is if they have a lot of other people come in, maybe that you don't know who they are, or maybe that person that you're dying to talk to just doesn't come in, or maybe they come in at the end. It's not always going to conveniently work out so nicely. And John Edward, I don't know if you know who he was. He used to
I
be
do.
on was it Montel Williams?
He was on one of those giants.
Yeah, he always kind of did that. It's like, and he would stick to his guns even if nobody was claiming whatever it was, because I saw him live, but
He seems like he was sort of legit.
yeah, I would say he's legit.
Mhm. Is he
Um,
still around?
Not to say that other people aren't, but
Yeah. Oh, I'll
yeah,
say it.
I just heard from him recently. I don't remember what he's doing, but he's still around. He's an
Interesting.
introvert, I think, so he didn't really like being out there, but he did it. So,
Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Now, you said this isn't really what you do. What do you do? Why would you say this is what I do?
I do it because people come to for readings, so I'll if they want mediumship, we'll do it. Or if I start getting goosebumps or something in the middle of like a tarot reading, but I'll do tarot readings. My main focus has been books. I'm writing a young adult fiction series. I didn't even know I could write fiction, but there's a lot of seeds in there, or
Is it like Twilight?
kind of. Well, it's got some romance, but it's AI, so it's kind of sci-fi,
Interesting.
and kind of like a Divergent or something where it's got action, or
Yeah.
it could be terrible. I don't really know. And
Very
then I
cool.
do the nonfiction, which is not getting done because now I'm doing the fiction. But so I focused on the writing the books, but I still do readings. And I did too many things though, past life regressions, palmistry, removing stuff, astrology, feng shui. I mean, on and on and on. So
Gil asked, can you work with clients over the internet or do you need to be face to face?
yeah, I can do by phone because I don't get in your energy field and read you and what decisions you're making. Because if I do that, I'm just going to see where you're already headed. So I'm going to say, okay, XYZ is going to happen to you. Jeff, you're going to marry some young girl and have 5 more kids. And then you go home feeling like, oh my God. And that's exactly what'll happen. So I kind of
No, that
deliver the
won't
message to you. I don't
happen.
what
I said, no, that won't happen.
cancel that. I don't want to like bring that on you, but
Thank you.
nothing wrong
Appreciate
with
that.
nothing wrong with having children, but you've got
You're
other things you gotta
56.
do.
You don't want to have 5 more kids.
No.
At least not me. I could be like Jack Nicholson, though.
You what?
I could be like Jack Nicholson, right?
Right. Now stay away from the young ones because then you're gonna have kids. But so nothing wrong with having children, but you've got other things you've got to do. I
I
think you
agree.
are 12th dimensional also, just doing different work maybe.
Hmm.
So you can take that or leave that. And I don't know where I got on that because I forgot totally what we were talking about.
That's all right. That's all right. We're kind of at the end of things. Is there a message that you feel like you need to leave with the group or with someone perfectly or someone specifically?
Yeah, rely on yourself. Go in here and listen. Just sit quiet and listen, and or use your gut feeling on something. Uh, don't keep searching out here for all the answers, and because then it just gets more confusing. You can search for ideas from people and then kind of question it within yourself, but ultimately go within and remember you are a creator. You're as big as a universe. You're a walking universe. So you're so much more than a simulation, and you're already awake. I mean, if they're listening to you and this, they're already awake. So start to detach from the world and enjoy the simulation how you want to enjoy it, not how, so that you're not feeding these beings and whatever, because they feed off the energy from it. So
Amazing stuff. Anne-Marie, give out your website one more time, please.
ANMARIEUBER.com.
And you can get information about all of her services there. Anne-Marie, we have to have you back again. That was great stuff.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe we can do live readings or something.
Oh, that sounds fun. Please sit there right for a second so I can say goodbye to you personally. And I want to salute all of you for being here, seeking after truth. Thank you so much for checking us out. Make sure you go visit Anne-Marie's website. I have a feeling that a lot of you will want to take advantage of her services. And it sounds like she's got some really interesting books. The one about Chaldean astrology is definitely on my list. I'm going to be buying that as soon as we get off the air. Give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on your way out. And please do go check out Anne-Marie's YouTube channel as well. Anne-Marie, thanks again. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And for the rest of you, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We'll probably be back later on today. Can't promise, but pretty good chance. But until then, remember, we're the last generation of real humans, and there's no time like now to unindoctrinate yourself.